The average family in this country hands over more than $400 every month to strangers. The power company, the water company, the gas company, the sewer. $400 a month, $4,800 a year, every year, for as long as you own the house, going out the door to people who do not know your name and do not care to. Now I want you to sit with a different number. There are families right now living on their own land in their own small home who pay none of it. No power bill, no water bill, no gas bill, no sewer bill, none of it. And they set the whole thing up, land and all, for less than $25,000. My name is Moses Shirley. I am Amish. I farm in Chester County, Pennsylvania. And my family has lived free of those bills for over 100 years. Not because we are clever, because we never hooked into the systems that send them. Today I am going to walk you through how a person in the modern world, with modern tools, can put together the same independence my family has always had. 5 things, 5 systems, what a home actually needs, and roughly what each one costs. And I am going to be honest with you the whole way through, including about where the $25,000 number holds and where it does not, because there is a great deal of foolishness sold about this. And I would rather you trust me than be dazzled by me. But first, the honest word about that number, because I will not let it sit there glowing without telling you the truth underneath it. $25,000 for the whole thing, land included, is real. But it depends heavily on one thing: the price of land where you are. Out in the open country, the rural parts of this nation, you can still buy a few acres for a few thousand an acre, and the number works. In the crowded and expensive parts of the country, land alone will cost you many times that. And the number does not work there, and I will not pretend it does. This is a rural plan. It is for the person willing to go where land is cheap and live simply. If that is you, the number is real. If you are set on staying near the city, the land alone will break the budget. That is just the truth of it. And the second honest word: $25,000 is for a modest setup, a small home, a small power system, simple water, simple sanitation. It is enough to live well and free. It is not a big house with every comfort running at once. Modest and free, or grand and indebted. That is the trade. The old people always chose modest and free. System 1, shelter. And the trick is to start small and not borrow. The families doing this do not build a great house from the ground up to start. They start with the simplest, dry, warm place they can. And they grow from there, paying as they go, never borrowing. A proper heavy wall tent, the kind that stands for years, that you can stand up inside and put a small stove in, runs a few thousand or less. You can live in it while you build. A roof over your head in a single day. Then for a permanent small home, the clever modern move is to buy a ready-built shed or cabin shell. There are builders all over this country, including plain-living Mennonite builders, who build sturdy little cabin shells and haul them right to your land on a trailer. A small one, say 10 by 20 feet, runs somewhere around $6,000 to $10,000 delivered. You finish the inside yourself. Insulation, floor, walls, over time. 200 square feet sounds small, and it is. But a family that keeps its needs simple lives very comfortably in a tight, well-built, well-insulated little home. And there is no mortgage on it, and no banker holding the deed. A few thousand for a tent to start. $6,000 to $10,000 for the little cabin shell. Already you have a home, paid for, free and clear. System 2, water. And you catch it from the sky for almost nothing. The rain that falls on your roof is yours, free. A good metal roof and a gutter along the low edge, and that water runs down into big food-grade tanks, the kind they call IBC totes, a couple 100 gallons each. You can buy them used for $150 or so apiece. But here is the one detail most people miss, and it is the difference between clean water and foul water. The first flush, when rain first starts, it washes all the dust and leaves and bird droppings off your roof. You do not want that first dirty water in your tank. So you build what they call a first flush diverter, a simple length of pipe that fills up first and catches that dirty rush. Once full, a little floating ball seals it off, and the clean water that comes after flows on into your tanks. A few dollars of pipe. Then you run it through a proper filter before you drink, and you have all the water you need, free, falling out of the sky. The whole water system, gutters, a couple of tanks, the first flush pipe, a filter, runs you somewhere in the few hundreds to $1,000. And then your water bill is the rain, which sends no bill. System 3, power. And I have shown you the off-grid solar setup before. The panel, the charge controller, the battery, the small inverter. For a whole small home, rather than just one appliance, you scale it up. Several panels, a bigger battery bank, an inverter big enough to run your lights, your tools, a small refrigerator, a fan, the charging of things. A solar setup sized for a small cabin like this runs somewhere between $3,000 and $6,000 for a good one. Same simple idea every time. Catch the free sun. Store it in your own batteries. Use it on your own land. No wire to the power company. Now here is the honest part about power that nobody likes to hear. And I am going to tell you anyway, because it will save you from a costly mistake. Making light and running small things, that is easy and cheap. Your lights, your radio, your tools, a small cooler, a modest solar setup handles all of that fine. But heating with electricity eats more power than almost anything. A single electric space heater can drain a good battery in half an hour. That one little heater pulls as much as your lights and your tools and your refrigerator all put together, many times over. So the rule, the honest rule, is this. Do not try to make heat with your precious solar electricity. Heat with fire. Cool with the earth. Use the sun's electricity for the light work. Try to run a space heater off it, and you will need a system 5 times the size and 5 times the cost, and you will still come up short. That one piece of honesty saves people thousands. System 4, heat and cooking. And this is where you go back to fire and to the old ways. For heat, you do exactly what my people have always done. A small wood stove. A good small wood stove with its pipe installed right runs somewhere between $1,000 and a few thousand. And it will heat a small, well-insulated cabin all winter. On wood you can often gather or cut yourself. And let me give you the one honest safety word on the wood stove, because it matters and people get it wrong. The smoke pipe should run up through the roof, straight up, not out the sidewall and then up. A long sideways run keeps the smoke from drawing properly. And smoke that backs up into your home is not just a nuisance. It can kill you in your sleep. You run it up through the roof, the way the stove makers tell you, and you put in a smoke alarm, and you do it right. I will not skip that, because no clever setup is worth a life. For cooking, you have that same wood stove, or a small propane burner. Simple, safe, proven. And here is one worth knowing about, though not for everyone starting out. A method that turns waste into cooking gas. It is called a digester. You put animal manure, food scraps, and water into a sealed tank. The natural rotting, sealed away from air, gives off a gas you can burn. The very same kind of gas the gas company pipes to a stove. The leftover slurry comes out the other end as good fertilizer for your garden. Nothing wasted. I have to be plainly honest here, 2 ways. First, this is not an Amish practice. I will not tell you my grandfather did this because he did not. It is a real old-world technique, and I am showing it to you honestly as that. Second, the safety. That gas is real cooking gas. It burns, and it can build pressure if you are careless. A digester must be built right and vented right. It is the most advanced of these 5 systems, the one to approach slowest and most carefully after you have read and learned properly. For most folks starting out, a simple wood stove and a propane burner are the easy, safe way to cook, and the digester is something to grow into later. If at all, honest is better than impressive. System 5, food, and you start it before you think you need to. Raised garden beds built up from the ground, filled cheap. And here is the clever way the good homesteaders fill them without paying for truckloads of soil. You fill the bottom with rotting logs, old wood, brush, leaves, and grass clippings, and only put the good soil and compost on top. The wood and leaves on the bottom break down slowly over the winter and feed the bed for years. It costs almost nothing but the gathering. You start a compost pile the very first day. Every scrap, every clipping, every bit of waste goes to building the rich soil that feeds you later. And a simple greenhouse. You can put up a small hoop greenhouse for a couple hundred in an afternoon. Lets you start your plants early and stretch your growing season at both ends. A few $100s in beds and a greenhouse started early, and within a season or two you are growing a real share of your own food, and the grocery bill starts to shrink toward nothing. And sanitation. A simple composting toilet keeps waste dry and turns it slowly to soil. Runs only a few $100s. Needs no costly septic system. No sewer hookup at all. Now let me add it all up honestly for you. The way the old people would. Plainly. Cheap rural land. A few acres. A few $1,000 to $10,000 depending on where. A little cabin shell. $6,000 to $10,000. A solar setup for a small home. $3,000 to $6,000. Water catchment. Under $1,000. A wood stove. $1,000 to $3,000. Garden beds and a greenhouse, a few hundred. Composting toilet, a few hundred more. Add it all together and yes, for a person willing to go where land is cheap and live modestly, it comes in around $25,000. Land and home and water and power and heat and food. Paid once. And after that, the bills that drain your neighbors every month simply do not come to your door. Not because you cheated them, because you never plugged into them. Now I want to take a moment, because this is the part that matters, and it is bigger than dollars. Think about what that monthly stack of bills really is. It is not just money, it is a leash. Every month you must produce a certain number of dollars, or the lights go off, the water stops, the heat dies. You are tied to a job you may hate, in a place you may not love, because the bills do not stop, and they are not yours to control. The power company sets the price. The water company sets the price. You pay, or you go dark. That is dependence, and most folks have lived in it so long they cannot even see it anymore. The 5 systems I just showed you are not really about saving money, though they do. They are about cutting the leash, a family that catches its own water, makes its own power, heats with its own wood, grows its own food, and owns its own small home free and clear. That family cannot be put in a corner. The price of power could double, and it would not touch them. The job could end, and the lights would stay on. That is not about being cheap. That is about being free. And here is the honest truth about who profits from the other way. No villain forces you onto the grid. It is quieter than that. The whole modern arrangement is simply built so that every basic need comes to you as a monthly bill from someone who profits. And it has been that way so long that doing for yourself feels strange, even backward. But there is no money in a man who catches his own rain and burns his own wood. Nobody can bill him, so nobody advertises it, nobody teaches it, and a whole nation forgot that it was ever possible. My people never forgot, because we never plugged in to begin with. You do not have to do all 5 at once. You do not have to do it in 30 days. Start with 1. Buy the cheap land, or set the rain barrel under the downspout, or build the 1 garden bed, cut 1 leash, and then the next as you are able. So here is what I want you to do. Start by looking, really looking, at what land costs in the rural parts of your state, the parts folks drive past. You may be surprised what a few acres still costs out where the ground is cheap, and look at your own monthly bills, add them up for a year. See what that leash is really costing you. That number is usually what wakes a person up. Then pick 1 system, and learn it deep before you spend. 1 honest step at a time. That is how it is done, not in a heroic month. 1 step. This today was the map of the whole journey. The single steps come after. I have done whole videos on the solar and the water, and I will be doing more on each of these. The wood heat, the food, the simple cabin. All of it. Tell me in the comments, which of the 5 would you start with? The land, the water, the power, the heat, or the food? And tell me what your monthly bills add up to in a year, because I think the number will surprise you. And everyone reading, I read every single one, and what you all share is the reason I keep doing this. Next time, I am going to take just the first and most important step, finding and buying cheap rural land the right way. What to look for, what to avoid, so you do not sink your savings into a piece of ground that cannot grow food or catch water, or pass the rules. It is the foundation the other 4 systems stand on. Until then, cut one leash, take one step, one honest step at a time.